Today's day 34 of Art Every Day. It's going to be a little bit different again, as all of these videos are from my other videos, because today I already did the thing. Earlier today, I did a physical watercolor. Um, we have a farmers market around here every Saturday. Saturday morning goes until 2. And so I just popped down a chair and just started sketching what I saw. Just thought I could pick a good spot and just see if I could, I don't know, just draw it, paint it. So I spent a good amount of time just with the base sketch, getting the structure of the buildings. I was trying to get all the proportions correct. And so to do that, I was doing the classic thing of taking a pen or a pencil and just measuring out um, at an arm's length what the units were. So, for example, this entire structure here, I think, was about 3 units tall. So when I was drawing that, it looked something like here's 1 arm's length, here's 2 arms length, here's 3 arms length, something like that, right? So I've got 3 units tall there. But what I noticed was this down at the bottom. So today I'm just doing a crit of my own work essentially, and trying to point out any issues that I might have spotted. What I noticed was, as I was sitting there and drawing, the bottom of this corner of the building was 4 units from the bottom of this structure here, with this sort of vertical line being the center line of that pillar. So this was 4 units. But when I took a measurement from the top here all the way to this corner, I measured 3 units. And so I thought, well, something must be wrong here, because obviously that's not 4 units. That's 3 units. So is the bottom part wrong? Is the top part wrong? Am I wrong? I was wrong. And to demonstrate that, I'm just going to bring in a picture of the area. So here's a picture of the place that I was sitting in. And what I didn't see, because I was just looking at the environment around me, and as I turned my head this way, let me give a different pen here. As I turned my head this way, this became vertical to me, perfectly straight up and down. As I turned my head this way, this structure was vertical to me, perfectly straight up and down. I did not account for the fact that these are going up towards a vanishing point above. And this sort of perspective, I want to call it 3-point perspective, because you've got your usual 2-point perspective here of this plane going over and across, this plane going down and to the left. But there's a third dimension, a third vanishing point, way, 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 way off screen, where this line will eventually intersect with this line. Like, way, way, way up there. And that point, if I continue to turn my head upwards, is the point directly above me. Because when I'm sitting, I'm observing the world around me in this sort of motion. So this building is to the left. This building is to the right. So when I look to the left, it's straight up and down. When I look to the right, it's straight up and down. But the whole composition, the whole piece, everything all together, I'm seeing from a bubble, a 360-degree bubble. And as you travel around that bubble, and as you try to capture that bubble, things get a little bit wonky. So directly above me is where that vanishing point would be, and it's the same reason that these are curving upwards or tilted upwards, is because they follow the rules of the bubble, not the rules of your typical vanishing points. So what does that mean for me today? All it really means is I'm recognizing a pattern, and I think in real time I saw something like a bit of a discrepancy, you know? So, oh, why is this 4 units? And why is this 3 units? It's because of that shift in perspective, the 3-point perspective. And now that I'm here, I'm a little bit curious. I'm going to measure the exact distance between these, right? So I've got a width of, I don't know what the dimensions of this canvas are, but this is kind of absurd. But I've got a width of 44.222. And up at the top here, I've got a width of 33.6 some odd, 667. I think that's almost exactly 4 units and 3 units of arms measurement. And if you're having trouble figuring out what I mean by arm measurement, in that same idea, you see a person do this all the time. Like when you're thinking of like a stereotypical artist, it's like, let me close one eye and look with the other one, and sort of measure a unit. So if I've got a pencil here, from the perspective of my eye, something way off in the distance like this building, might only be 1 pencil tall because of that perspective again. So there's something I noticed. Let's go back to our drawing here, and our paint sketch, I guess. I had a bit of an issue with value, I think, as well. So I enjoyed trying to blend the colors together to figure out what this color should be on the side of the building here. We've sort of got this dark red brick color and texture, but it's also being lit by the ambient light of the sky, so there's a little hint of blue in there, suggestion of blue. Meanwhile, further down the alley, we've got a similar color and a similar value, but it's actually brighter in value here. And it's darker in value here, which is why this looks a little bit off to me. I over painted. I did use black as a pigment in this, and so I just overdid it a little bit too much there. And down across the horizon, it continues like that. And I think it makes sense if it's darker towards the front, maybe a lighter value as you approach that horizon and get further and further away. So maybe this is okay. But what I really have an issue with is this side of the pillar should match the value of this side of the building, because they're at the same distance to me, almost equidistant. Same goes for this building here and this plane, because this entire building was facing away from the sun. Away from the sun as the shadows were cast down above into the ground, like so. Which is where we get sort of this shape for the shadow from. So let's compare in here. So, you know, I think it's fair that I didn't use this dark of a value in my watercolor, because 1, it would be hard for me to capture, and 2, I think it would just be very abrupt to look at it like that. But this value down at the bottom, it's just towards, it's really close to this value. They're so close to one another that I think if I took this brick texture, sort of drew it in the middle of the sky here, just to show, took this brick texture, drew it in the middle of the sky. There's a very, very slight difference. This is a slightly brighter or slightly lighter color over on this plane. Maybe that's because of the angle of the building. Maybe that's because of the it could be anything. Just the material or the texture, the distance from us. But they're so close to one another that it should not look as different as they do here. Or if I take this, sort of paint that up there, take this and paint that up here, you can see a very, very clear difference. So that's something that I can improve on next time. So when I'm doing this, blocking out those color values first and foremost, and sort of coming up with a range of colors or a range of values. And then the same goes for this pillar, right? So this pillar, at its darkest point, we've got a little bit of bounce light, which I didn't notice until now, coming from the buildings off of the side, from the tents down below. So a lot of light is illuminating the pillar from this direction, sort of cast upon here. And then there's the light of the sun that's coming down at an angle there. You can see that angle through this curvature as it goes along the pedestal. But I get too that it's a different material, but this value should be much closer to this value, and we can see that they're pretty different, and that's again because of the texture, or not the texture, the material. But when we compare to this again, this value, I think I stand corrected. I'm very happy with this one. Maybe it's just this plane. So let me theorize. What I'm gonna do here is just with Photoshop go in and modify this plane. So I'm gonna take this, go down, and just darken it the way that I think I need to. I'm gonna add this corner here. Let's just very rough, very rough. Not too worried about getting it right. So if I take this, we can go into Photoshop, image adjustments, brightness and contrast. I'm gonna take that brightness and I'm gonna shift it down until it looks about right. Already, it looks so much better if I shift that value down. So let's get our brush again. Oh my gosh, what's going on here? Let me switch to just a regular hard round with no load. No load. Oh man. Which brush am I using here? Brush tool. Larger. Here's that color. Here's that color. Much better. Much better. Different hue, very similar value. And it really makes it look like it's coming to life here. So I think I proved my point to myself. And just sort of trying to reinforce principles to myself. And this is I'm doing this pretty much to learn. I've said before, it's really important to make mistakes, and for as good as this is, it's not good enough for what I want, and I think that that's okay. And people were coming up and they were saying, "Oh, this is really nice," and it is, and I'm gonna celebrate that. I'm gonna celebrate this victory, of kind of capturing this scene, capturing the market and the people like along the streets. I had a lot of fun drawing it and painting it, and sort of getting the impression of it. But there's always room for improvement, and I want to continue to improve and strive for improvement. So um, I think I'm finding some good things that I could work on next time. Another thing I noticed, this corner down here, these are just nitpick details at this point. That is supposed to be a building, and there's supposed to be a little bit of a tree poking up out of the top there. I didn't catch that at all. Got this tree in the background here. These buildings have so much detail down here with this red and with this sort of yellow. Um, these light posts I missed, so I don't think I have those drawn in. I do not. But maybe those values could have been a little bit richer. Not the values. Maybe those colors could have been a little bit more saturated. And I'm correcting my vocabulary as I go through this, just because I'm still in the process of learning. So I want to catch myself and make sure I'm using the right words. And this building too in the foreground, there's just so much texture and so much detail. I mean, I could do an entire study, an entire day just on this building, and maybe I'll go back and do that at some point, which I think could be a lot of fun. So in my pencil sketch underneath it, you can kind of see underneath here, there was a lot more detail in that. But I really just kind of washed over with the watercolors. And the color of this plane too, it's supposed to be this sort of yellowy marble with these it's white, right? It's white. But I sort of saw these blues in the window, and the value here, or the hue, oh my gosh, it's green. According to my color wheel, it's green. No, it's yellow. It's red. It's yellow. It's white. It's white. It's a white building. So I had a hard time capturing that, and I think I just ended up washing it blue to give the impression of it being white. Um, and that was sort of with the blue accents and the shadows here, which I'm realizing are not blue, but we've got a rich blue underneath here. But let's see, we've also got, I'm missing the windows from this building down the street. That would have been a nice dark blue to pop into the scene. And this, I have a really hard time, I think, with, I identified the horizon line, right? So I'm sort of sitting at this point here, eye level to this guy's shoulder, maybe a little bit lower than that. Right here. That's where that horizon line is. From where I'm sitting. And I have an issue with foreground and midground on the ground. And what do I mean by that? So if this is where I'm sitting, again, sort of waist level to a passerby. Let's just go back and forth here. This is not at eye level. It should be a little bit higher up here. And the entire thing felt like it was sinking into the ground. Which I guess it does rest lower than a lot of other stuff here, but it looks a little bit off here. So the top of that should not be at the top of... Actually, I don't really know what I'm saying. I think something was wrong here, and I'm just trying to work it out, and I'm not sure what it was. So that's that. That's that. So this was today, day 34. This is a little bit different from my other videos, and I say that every video because every video is different. I'm trying to learn a format for myself and just find the best way to learn and the best way to share that with you all. So if this was interesting to you, let me know down below. If you think more self-crit videos would be helpful or interesting to watch, let me know. it would be helpful for me, I think, for sure. So instead of watching me do the thing, I've got the ability to do the thing, it feels like. But going in and really figuring out what the issue is with some of these, I think that's where I really need to work on now. Because I think I mentioned at my day 30 video, it felt like I wasn't really improving all that much. And maybe I'm improving little by little, but not to the speed that I'm hoping by doing these every day. And part of that as well is because I'm just not dedicating as much time to doing these. So today was pretty much all art all day long. So this morning from like 7 o'clock to noon, I made this. Came home, rested for a little while. Um, Went upstairs to the patio. We've got a little floor space on the roof, and I just spent the entire time there reading Color and Light by James Gurney. So sort of reiterating some ideas and core principles that I've been learning, and digesting it again in a new way. And I think I'm going to go back to some of the pages I already read and reread those and really treat it like a study. So that's today. Again, let me know what you thought. If this is something you like, if this is something you would like to see more of, feel free to let me know in the comments. Aside from that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I really never know how to like close videos, but I appreciate you for sticking around and checking this out. So take care.